Today on CityCast Chicago, according to a 2024 report, Chicago was ranked in the top 10 for cities with the worst driving experience. But I ain't gonna hold you. We ain't need a damn report to tell us that. It found Chicagoans spend the most time in traffic, spend the most on gas money because of that traffic. And if you live here, you already know Chicago got a bit of a reputation for aggressive driving. So we breaking down some of our biggest driving pet peeves and toxic traits. We're doing a quick rules of the road refresher, and we're going to rank ourselves as drivers. It's Thursday, March 13th. I'm Jacoby Cochran, and this is what Chicago's talking about. Joining me this morning, our executive producer, Simone Alicea.
Hey, Jacoby.
Good to have you here, my friend. And we've also got Axios reporter Carrie Shepherd in the building. Welcome back, Carrie.
Hi, my friends. So good to hear your voices and see your faces.
I feel like at this point, we probably have enough new listeners who don't recognize your voice, and so many people who've been with us over the last 4 years who are so happy to hear you. For people who are new to the show, Carrie Shepherd was our original executive producer when we were getting CityCast Chicago off of the ground. And the reason we're bringing you back is because throughout those original years, one thing you would consistently do is remind us how good of a damn driver you think you are. You have said, like, pretty much quote for quote, like, I'm the best parallel parker in the city. And so I'm going to start off with this question. Carrie, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
I want to know, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rank yourself as a Chicago driver? Not just a driver, but navigating these Chicago streets, 1 to 10.
10's the best, right?
Yes.
I'm a 45, obviously.
Honestly, I thought it was hyperbole. I thought I was gassing it a little bit, like Carrie's real cocky and you go push back. First question, gave herself a 45, y'all. A 45.
Okay. I will be humble and say I would say I'm probably like an 8. I'm like an 8.
All right. I like 45. I like 8. Let's start here. What do you think is your best trait as a driver? What do you think makes you such a good driver?
Well, I'm very good at being a defensive driver. I learned when I was young that it's almost more important to be you're being a defensive driver. So I'm hyper aware. I'm always looking far ahead to see if you can't know unless you're a cab driver, you can't know every one way in the city. So I'm always like kind of on top of that. I'm sure we'll get into my flaws, the few of what there are. So I'll save that. But I'm just very defensive and fast. And I'm a fast driver.
I like that. I'm a very fast driver too, but I feel like it's going to impact my ranking a little bit different. Simone, over to you. How would you rank yourself scale 1 to 10 as a Chicago driver?
I think I'm a solid 6. I do think I'm better than average. And here's why. I am not.
Man, both me and Carrie, I feel like that was bogus as hell. We both gave like a silent, like we pulled back from the mic a little bit and did like a really like a nod, like, oh, okay, we explain.
I am not a bad driver at all. By no definition, I don't think by anyone's definition am I a bad driver.
But Chicago driver.
But I am a slow driver. I follow the rules of the road pretty to the letter. Comparatively to other Chicago drivers, which actually I have learned in Chicago over the years as someone who's not from here originally, that doing that actually can be more unsafe, right? I think in the past few years, because I've figured that out and some of those patterns, I feel like that brings me now to above average as far as Chicago drivers go. I don't think I'm especially skilled, but I think I can hold my own.
One thing though, I would say, Simone, that I learned early on, my sister's the best driver I've ever met. She told me early on, sometimes it's less safe to be a slower driver.
And I totally get it. For me, I don't like, people like going fast. I don't. It makes me really worried. God. Like it gives me a lot of anxiety when I'm going 80 miles an hour on the highway. Like it really stresses me out.
Okay.
Gee, the minute you said people love going fast, I was on a trip back from Iowa. I was driving back to the city, and I swear we did 110 for the next 20 to 30 minutes.
That's not okay.
And one of my coworkers was asleep in the passenger seat. It was one of the most exhilarating.
These vehicles are not meant to go that fast. I drive a Honda.
I was in a Toyota Camry hybrid pushing that mug.
No.
Coming up 80.
Okay.
If I had to rank myself, I'd probably give myself maybe a 6 as a Chicago driver. I think if it's just me in the car and I only have to worry about myself, I think I'm closer to an 8 or a 9. But if I'm thinking about having someone in the car, the experience of driving, being in the car with me, I'm trying to give some consideration for that, because I will say I have good spatial awareness.
Same.
And because of that, I don't use turn signals very well. I speed ramp to pass people. Let me tell you a quick story, y'all. I did not take any driving courses in school. By the time I was learning to drive, we were at the rink pretty much Monday through Sunday. And so there wasn't a lot of time for my parents to teach me. My brother would let me drive sometimes. I did not get my license until I was 18, until I turned 18. But my senior prom happened before I turned 18. My stepfather put the keys to his car in my hand and told me to drive from the burbs to pick up my day all the way to downtown Chicago, where we were celebrating like the after party of prom. And I made it all the way home, downtown, back with a really vague sense of traffic laws. I probably ran 6 or 7 stop signs. I think I went down a one way the wrong way. I did a bunch of terrible merges on the highway. No, it was terrible. But the thing was, I did not have my license, but the thing was, I got home safe. I scratched his car, putting it in the garage.
Yep, that tracks.
But I think from that moment, there was just an embedded cockiness of I survived. And though I have since passed driving tests, improved on the road, take a little bit more caution, there is still a bit of an Evel Knievel spirit that exists underneath my driving that I can't let go of for some reason.
I would also like to point out that Carrie and I both have cars, drive pretty frequently to get around the city.
Less so for me now. It's true. It's true. And I didn't drive for 12 years in the city.
Well, I was just going to say, Jacoby, you don't own a car right now, correct?
No. When I first got back to the city, I drove as my job. And so I drove for about 4 years straight, and then stopped. And now I do not own a car. But when I need to drive, there's always a car available. And so I'm still driving like probably 3 or 4 times a month. But if you put me in one, there's still a good chance that I'm going to get a speeding ticket or get the car towed or get a parking ticket for not moving it at the right time. It doesn't matter.
Dude, why are you getting your car towed? What's going on?
Are you reading the signs?
Street sweep season last year got me.
Oh, man. You're not a rookie. Come on.
No, street sweeping was tough because I knew the schedule. They gave me a ticket on an off day. Like it wasn't the day of the thing, and they just took the car. And so I'm not sure what happened there.
Oh my God.
So that's why I give myself the ranking that I do. It's not because I can't get us from point A to point B. Largely, we're going to get there safe, but you give me a car for a week, there's a 50% chance I'm getting 1 ticket.
See, this is my thing. As I get a lot of parking tickets because I don't feed the meter on time.
That's included.
That is my big flaw. But I have never had a moving violation ever.
What the hell's a moving violation?
That is a violation where it's your actual driving. That's the problem. A speeding ticket or you took a wrong turn or something like that. I have got caught by a speeding camera one time in Chicago. And I've been driving since I was 16. Like my parents were insistent. They were like, you got to drive because they didn't want to drive me to school. And so I've been driving forever.
All right. I think we've gotten to like some of our toxic driving traits just by Simone doesn't necessarily have any, even though being slow is toxic for the rest of us.
It is toxic to most of Chicago. The way I drive is toxic to Chicago as far as I can tell.
So that gets me to our biggest driving pet peeves. For me, it is people who drive too slow and there's no one in front of them. That's probably my biggest pet peeve. Simone, so what is yours? As somebody who follows all of the rules to the letter, what is your one big Chicago driving pet peeve?
I have a couple. Again, lanes, as far as I can tell. So there are a lot of, especially like up here on the north side, there are a lot of these arterials that are wide enough that they could have been 2 lanes, but there's no lane marking.
On the west side too. Yes, it's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
Particularly these big east-west streets. It's not so much a pet peeve of me that drivers treat it as it's 2 lanes. Like it's wide enough to be 2 lanes. It bothers me that the city has just not marked it. Like
that nobody knows.
Just paint it.
Nobody knows.
Paint it.
Yeah.
Like, is this a turn-only lane? Are there 2 lanes here? Is this a bike? Just paint it.
Yeah, Chicago Avenue is like that. There's a lot like that. Grand is like that. There's some places that you're like, what's going on
The
here?
other one that drives me nuts in Chicago is, so like this happens to me a lot on LaSalle turning right onto North Avenue, coming off of Lakeshore Drive, where I'm in the far right lane because I'm trying to turn right, and people are in the lane next to me to the left, and they also turn right. It's not a turn lane. You're not supposed to turn that. That's not. But they do it because they don't want to wait in line behind everybody, and they don't want to wait for pedestrians. Like that drives me nuts. What is the point? Just wait. You're okay. You will get to where you need to go.
One of my biggest pet peeves is if we're in a turning lane and there are some people in front of us in the intersection and you're like maybe right, like you're at the point where you can just like sit there and you'll be safe. I don't like when the person in front of me doesn't push it. Like, especially when it's like running down, I think you could still get like, especially if there are 2 or 3 cars in front of you, you just join the train, man. Join the train. We're a funeral procession for a couple of seconds. Like,
this took me a full year to learn after moving to Chicago because I was trained to pull up when you're making a left turn, to pull out into the intersection, and if it turns red, you go.
This is my pet peeve. That's my
fine.
pet peeve.
I think that's fine. In Chicago, it's 2 to 3 cars after the light turns red.
And that's what I'm saying. I think if you're the 4th or the 5th, you should still push it.
Absolutely. 1,000%. My biggest pet peeve.
That's so dangerous.
We're a funeral procession, Simone. It's a lane of 5 cars.
You got a left turn in the intersection. You should have at least 2 cars in that intersection that get through. There's that. But the other one is because we're trying to bust through the yellow. So some car always ends up on the crosswalk, blocking pedestrians. And the worst is when the car in front of you clearly has room to scooch up so you can scooch up and get out of the crosswalk, and they don't do it because they're oblivious. I hate oblivious drivers. That's another thing.
No, for sure. I have a pet peeve that's similar but different because when we're turning, push it. But if we're just on 2-lane traffic and your lane is super backed up and you're about to come to a red light and people are kind of sitting in the intersection when the light turns red, I'm one of those people that if I see it's congested in front of me, and this isn't about turning, this is just about going straight, I'm not going to sit in the intersection and not let the next
the
lane
cross
go.
traffic. You need to let the cross traffic go through.
But you didn't want to just wait to let others go. That is a pet peeve of mine.
Sitting in the intersection. On the flip side, one thing that bothers me is always stops right of way and people who try to wave you on when they have the right of way. I actually think that is deeply irritating.
Interesting.
Sometimes when we get to that stop sign, it isn't clear who got there first. And sometimes then you do the hand battle and then you do we both go out at the same time.
See, for me, it's as soon as one person waves, then you go again. Like there should not be a discussion. This is not a conversation. We're not here to debate.
I agree with that.
My third one was just going to be about parking. Like, how do you manage parking? Do you use parking apps? Do you just knock on wood and pull up to the neighborhood? What is your relationship to parking in the city? Do you avoid it at all costs, or do you just like take a chance?
I don't think parking is nearly as bad in Chicago as people say. That's my hot take.
Ooh, that's a hot take because parking's pretty bad here. I mean, it's like people can duke it out.
I think it's more available here. So again, Seattle's a small city. We have small streets. So like when I was driving in the city of Seattle, finding parking, I usually was parking more than a mile away from where I had to go. Here, I'm like a block away. I'm like, this is chill. This is easy. Like,
no, that's a good point.
But you have a lot more signs here. There's a lot more signs that you have to read. I've been towed once in Chicago. I was parked overnight and I feel like they put it up after I'd parked and then like I got towed in the morning, which is a common occurrence here. But like, I don't know. For the most part, I feel like if you're reading the signs,
knock on wood, I've never been towed.
Knock on wood, I've never been towed. I've been towed. I've been booted. I've had my car completely totaled overnight. And then I just went outside to my car being totaled. Had the police take my vehicle. Like, I have never been towed. Screw you.
I do think the overnight parking is really tough, particularly in Chicago, or late night parking. Because like often when I'm out in the neighborhoods, I'm there in the day where the permits don't apply. Like I'm often like leaving before 6 p.m.
We have residential parking permit. We have a school parking sign, so you can't park on the street from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. We have event parking because of the proximity to Soldier Field. We have street plow, and we also have parking meters right across the street from those. So like it is an absolute nightmare.
Here's the thing with Chicago, and this is maybe not just Chicago to be clear. This is kind of suburban people, is like if you invite them anywhere in the city, they're going to be like, what's the parking situation? Whereas like that is never my first question.
No, yeah.
You know what I mean? And like a lot of people are like, how is there a parking lot? How can I park? And I'm like, you can park. You may pay more, but you're going to park. Like, throw some money at the problem, keep it moving. You know, that is something about Chicago people are very, very concerned about. And not to be an ad, but Spot Hero really saved. That was a lifesaver.
Spot Hero is great for, like, downtown. I really like using it for
it's great.
Downtown stuff, or, like, if you're in West Loop or, like...
Oh, my God. Yeah. It takes the stress out.
A Slice of Life is coming to Paramount Theater, the Chicago area premiere of Waitress, now through March 30th. Based on the hit 2007 movie, the music and lyrics are by Grammy Award winner Sarah Bareilles, and to add to their list of accolades, it was nominated for 4 Tony Awards, including Best Musical and Best Original Score. The show is basically about a waitress. Her name is Jenna. She feels very trapped in an unhappy marriage, but you know, she also a talented pie maker. So she finds room to explore her options, her emotions, her situation. Her friends offer her, let's just say, some conflicting recipes for happiness. But real talk, only Jenna can do the soul searching to decide for her, you know, what are the right ingredients for her life. You know, you see what I'm doing. It's about a restaurant, so I'm using some restaurant metaphors. Make Paramount your home for entertainment and get your tickets today at ParamountAurora.com or call 630-896-6666. Use promo code CityCast for $5 off up to 4 tickets. So, we've asked you to come on not just to talk about other terrible drivers or to rank yourself. We also wanted to know if y'all could still pass a driving test. We're not going to go through all of the questions. And I also have some thoughts about some of these questions that we're going to get to. But I picked out a few. There were so many true or false, y'all, so I had to find the few multiple choice they had. And I want to see how y'all would do. I'm going to read the question. I'm going to hear both of your answer, and then I'll let you know if it's correct or not. Sound good? All right. This is a true or false question. It is permissible to make a right turn against a red signal light after stopping and yielding to other vehicles and pedestrians.
True.
True.
That is true.
Okay.
It is permissible to make a right turn against a red signal light after making a complete stop and yielding to traffic or pedestrians within the intersection. It is permissible for you on a one-way street to turn left at a red light onto another one-way street that moves traffic to the left. True or false?
True.
True.
That is true.
Okay, good. I've been doing it right. Okay, good. Okay.
Okay. You must always give the right or left turn signal when changing lanes. True or false?
True.
True.
And you felt skeptical there. Carrie, you sure?
No. I'm a turn signaler.
No, if you are far behind me, why am I? Because it's a signal for someone behind me. If you're not behind me, why would I use it?
I would say for me, it's autopilot.
Yeah, I don't even think about it when I do it.
And that's why I'm a 6, because I get too many conditions. I'm a conditional driver. Here's another one. Here's a multiple choice. For what distance should a continuous turn signal be given when making a left or right turn in a business or residential district? Choice A, not less than 50 feet before turning. Option B, not less than 75 feet before turning. Option C, not less than 100 feet before turning.
A?
Ooh, I say B.
Okay. The answer is C.
100 feet?
Not less than 100 feet before turning.
Oh,
How? Okay, I need 100 feet's like, how long is that? It's like half a block, right? That's like,
come on.
I don't think it's half. I don't know if it's half a block.
1/6 of a block.
The size of a city block can vary depending on the city, but it's typically between 200 and 600. So it could be half, but typically, which is about 660 feet.
Of like one of those small residential blocks, it'd be like half.
Yeah. I love that we just spent all that time talking about signal turns, us using them, just for y'all to find out y'all not using them long enough.
Well, because the timing is important on when you put the signal on.
You're so
Like,
cocky. I was always use a signal.
well, because if you put it on
Always.
too early, it's like, oh, are you driving into this the driveway? Are you going into, the alley? The timing of it really matters to indicate what turn you're actually making.
Fair.
All right, back to a true and false. When experiencing a tire blowout, you should apply the brakes and quickly pull off the side of the road. True or false?
False.
False.
Yes, that is false. When experiencing a tire blowout, you should not immediately apply the brakes and quickly pull off to the side of the road.
No, you let friction take care of that for a while, and then you.
What about this one? If your vehicle starts to skid, you should apply the brakes and steer in the opposite direction of the skid.
False.
False.
Look, y'all doing great. False.
I mean, that's another thing is that we know how to drive in the snow. That's a thing. That's that's a whole nother test about driving in the snow. But okay.
Well, that's what you're supposed to do. Is the same thing. You no gas, no brake, drive into the skid, and try to turn yourself. Yeah.
People are better at driving in the snow than in the rain here.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. I like snow is one thing, and I actually think Chicago drivers are pretty good in the snow and like do slow down actually.
Yeah, it's like a Midwestern pride thing. Yeah.
But it's not even just like they're still driving fast. Well, they are slowing down and like doing what you're supposed to do. But the rain is a whole other can of worms because people love driving into big puddles that they don't know how deep they are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They're terrible.
Okay. All vehicles are required to stop within how many feet of the nearest rail of a railroad crossing when a train is approaching? Between 15 and 50 feet, between 5 and 10 feet, or 10 feet?
I think it's A.
What was A? 15 and 50?
Yeah, between 15 and 50.
I mean, yeah, probably, right?
And then
Yes.
between 5 and 10, and then 10.
A.
All right, between 15 and 50. All right, now this brings me to my biggest complaint about this test. As I'm reading it, I can't remember what it was like when I was 18, but it feels like these questions are getting increasingly easier and easier for test takers. Now, some with like the math, like when and where to start, but like here are a couple of questions that I saw where my first thought was, who the hell wrote these? For example, number 59 on the test. If pulled over by law enforcement, you should immediately exit the vehicle and quickly approach the officer's squad car. True or false? What the hell is that?
That's true, right? That's true.
Get out of here. What? Like, I'm not sure, like, who is that written for? It doesn't even imply like there's an accident or you're in danger or something.
If you are because you can usually take the written test at 15, right?
Okay, what about this one? Question 33. What is the only effective way to remove alcohol from the body? A, strong coffee. B, time. C, cold shower.
A, C, a sauna. So I'm going to say coffee. I'm going to say
all three of them,
sweat.
but all of the above. Feels like we got a bunch of aggressive, maybe poorly trained drivers because our tests ain't trying to do nothing for us.
I got to say, guys, I think you're really overestimating the average 15-year-old.
I mean, this is true. This is true. Everyone, I mean, people fail it.
I mean, because there are things on the test that I think are difficult, and maybe I'm just pointing out the gimme questions because they want some people to at least get like 3 or 4 right. But the 3 or 4 they wrote that are ridiculous are really ridiculous.
We've all been driving for, well, maybe not you two, but I mean, I've been driving for 25 years. You guys have been, Jacoby, you're coming up on 20 years, aren't you? Where you at?
No.
Where you at in your 30s?
Yeah, shit. Yeah. I'm closer to 20 years than I am
Closer to 20 than 10,
to
yeah.
10.
Yeah, I mean, this should sound easy because the other thing, here's my nugget. The rules of the road, it's not about a paper test. You become a good driver by driving. I mean, that's just it. Like, you have to drive more on the highway. You have to drive in the city more. Everybody is like, city driving, eek, because they don't live in the city. I mean, for those of us who live in the city driving is driving. It's not that stressful.
I was going to say, Carrie, to that effect, like I was recently, I had to take a trip to like Champaign, and outside of Champaign. So it was like, I was deep in like kind of rural
Central
Illinois. Yeah.
yeah.
I actually found that way more stressful than driving in the middle of downtown Chicago. Like especially because I was driving in the dark, it was rainy, there was no lights. I felt like I couldn't see anything, but people are still going like even faster, right? They're driving because it's wide open and they know the road really well. I, of course, don't know the road that well, and it's dark and it's rainy.
Of course.
My last question is going to come back to road rage, but I did have a bonus question because this is one that I could not say I could answer. The Secretary of State office issues parking placards for peoples with disability or people who transport people with disabilities. And those parking placards have different colors based on what it represents. So I wanted to know if y'all knew which color matched which category.
Oh, yikes.
There are 4 colors: yellow and gray, blue, red, and green. So yellow, gray is 1, blue, red, and green. I'm going to read the category and then I want you to guess the color. And I'll let you know if you're right or wrong. I'm going to actually get all the categories and all of your colors, and then I'll let you know, because if we eliminate colors, it gets easier.
Yeah. I got you.
All
Okay.
right.
I got you.
So first you got the meter exempt placard. There's a permanent placard. It's issued to persons with a permanent disability. Holders are exempt from paying parking meter fees. Is that yellow, blue, red, or green?
I think that might be yellow.
I was going to guess green.
Okay. We're going to lock those in. All right. Then you have just permanent. It's not meter exempt. These placards are issued to persons with a permanent disability. Holders are not exempt from paying parking meter fees.
I think that's blue.
I think that's blue as well.
All right. You have temporary. Placards are valid for the length of time indicated by the certifying doctor, not to exceed 6 months if issued by the Secretary of State, and 90 days if issued by a local municipality. These are temporary placards for people who basically got a doctor's note that they needed during the length of time that they are injured. What color do you all think this is?
Red, green, blue, or yellow?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit.
I think this one is yellow. Yeah, I think this one is yellow.
I do too.
You already said yellow for one, Carrie. You only have red or green. Do you want to switch?
I want to switch.
Okay, so you're going to make this one yellow. What color is the meter exempt?
Green.
So you're going to go green with Simone. Okay. And that would leave for an organization. This is issued to organizations that transport peoples with disabilities. Both of you are going red on this one.
Yeah,
I guess so, yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to start at the meter exempt. You should have stayed with your original choice. That placard is yellow.
Oh!
And you both guessed green.
Oh, God damn it. I had it right the first time.
Yes. For the permanent placard issued to people with permanent disabilities, but not exempt from paying parking meters, you both were correct. That is blue.
Okay.
The temporary placard is red, and the organization placard is green. So you both went 1 for 4 when it comes to identifying disability parking placards. My final question to y'all before we get out of here: what is your relationship to road rage. Do you have road rage? We've talked a lot about Chicago's reputation for aggressive driving as that relates to stop signs, turning. But I think some of the most aggressive things is the stuff you do not hear, what's being said to you in the safety of someone else's car.
What I yell at in the privacy of my own vehicle
it's
my business.
Rage. Yeah, that's your biz. That's your biz. Okay, so yes, I have it. And how do I feel when someone else has it? Annoyed. So it's hypocritical. I'm 100% hypocritical. If I have it, I'm like, this is fine.
I think I'm pretty good to not backseat drive.
Okay.
I definitely don't backseat drive.
I no, Jacoby doesn't, because if he did, I would hear it all the time anytime we're in the car together.
I do not.
So he's yes, I can confirm Jacoby's not a backseat driver. I do occasionally do the little thing where you like are pressing on the pedals in the passenger seat that don't exist, where you're like,
oh, 100%.
You know what I mean?
100%. Yes.
My road rage is entirely verbal. I don't think it reflects in my driving, really.
I think I'm the opposite, actually. I verbally am usually pretty reserved, especially like compared to like my mom not cussing you out straight out of church, cussing you out like you're not a child of God type. It's over the top.
Not a child of
me,
God.
I think if you're like really slow, I do get that like, what are you doing? But it more easily reflects in how I drive. If you are trying to get in front of me and it's very narrow, I'm speeding up, giving you the side eye. If you are going slow, I'm aggressively passing you.
As someone who's often passed angrily on the road,
yes,
because I drive so slow, I take the opposite approach. I'm like, yeah, do it. Pass me. Oh, you're upset because you're not going somewhere? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I delayed you by 3 minutes. It's a rough life. It's hard out here. I know. It's hard.
Oh,
it's hard.
if someone's even like tailing me, I do the like quick break. Like I get at it. If someone's tailing me, I'm like, you're going to tail me?
You know what my favorite thing to be a hypocrite about is when I'm on city streets and I race and somebody races past me and we end up at the same stop sign. Boy, I'm like, yeah, where was you going? But if it's me, I'd be staring off into the distance like, I hope they're not looking into this car. I look dumb as hell right now. So what would be your just like one big tip for a new, like Michelle, for example? She is into her 20s. She is getting her drive. She says this is the year she gets it. What would be your biggest tip for her as she finally joins the rest of us on the Chicago roads?
Don't worry about everybody else and what their opinions of you are. I feel like there's so much like psychologically that goes into driving, and you're worried about like, am I doing it right? And I think that anxiety is actually the thing that is most likely to make you a bad driver or parker. Like you really just kind of like make the move you're going to make. If it's wrong, it's wrong. Keep it pushing. Don't get hit. Be as safe as possible. That would be my tip.
My tip would be the exact opposite. Worry about everyone. We are every driver's. I am judging you as a driver. I'm judging every driver on the road. I am judging you, and you do need to worry because you need to be defensive, and you need to know that there's some crazy MFers out there.
That's true.
So you got to be ready to respond to them.
So when I first started driving, a big reason that I was such a rules follower is because like it was that anxiety of like I want to be able to do it right, and it was only when I embraced like doing things incorrectly that I was able to turn on the red and left and like let the people in and like actually hit the flow of traffic. You know what I mean?
Some things you have to do incorrectly to be safe.
Correct.
Like, yes, for sure. I mean, you cannot go 40 on Lakeshore Drive. Give me a break. No one's going 40 on Lakeshore Drive.
Flying.
Like you're flying.
My last one is, to the best of your ability, make a mental note to where the speed cameras are, where the red light cameras are extremely aggressive. And just as like a rule of thumb, maybe every month or couple of months, just type your license or your plate number into the city's
Not a bad idea.
ticket portal, because I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I don't check the mailboxes often.
Real quick, because I know you guys have a lot of biking listeners too. Be very aware. I don't think the bike lanes in Chicago, there are some decent ones. I don't think they're great, but always be aware, watching when you're taking a right turn, coming up on a right turn, make sure there's not a biker coming. Watch out for doors. Don't be dooring bikers. And then also when you're making a right turn at a stop sign, don't be that jerk who never looks who like never, like, you're making the right turn, you only look left to see if a car's coming, but you don't look right to see if there's a pedestrian. We almost got hit the other day, and it was terrifying.
Yeah, I try to be more cautious on city streets, especially the more we've talked to pedestrians, cycling advocates, the more I've become a pedestrian, take more public transit, cycling around the city more. I realize the more you drive, the more just ignorant you can be to like how much road we are taking up when we are driving,
so much.
How much safer we are in our vehicle compared to the people who are using mobility aids, who are walking, who are on bikes, and how quickly our brain turns when we see a biker or a cyclist like maybe lingering or taking too long in the street. We're just like, it's our road, like get out the street, versus, I don't know, being on a bike and like one of those big Dodge Rams pulls up very aggressively. And so, yeah, definitely keep your eye out. I want to give a huge thank you to our guest today from Axios Chicago, Carrie Shepherd. Thanks for being here, Carrie.
Yes, you're welcome. This is so fun. Thanks, guys.
Gave us over 45 out of 10, y'all. Also, join me in thanking our executive producer, the one and only Simone Alicea.
Hey, thanks, Jacoby.
Now, the slowest person on these city streets, y'all. Before we get out of here, make sure you bookmark our website, chicago.citycast.fm. There you can subscribe to our daily newsletter, Hey Chicago, catch up on old podcast episodes. Please read our articles. We update them almost every single day, just like in our events calendar. One more thing. Some good news. If you haven't had the special privilege of seeing Chicago's first ever poet laureate, Avery R. Young, in person, you got a chance this Saturday when he hosts the poetry open mic at the Breathing Room in Back of the Yard from 6 to 8 p.m. It's part of the Breathing Room open house series, and that starts at 2 p.m. on Saturday. I'll drop a link for you in the show notes. They got a lot going over there, so please go out and support. They got a new gallery exhibit opening. They're going to be around the fire pit. They got a tea series coming up. As always, we appreciate you for listening and reading. We're going to be back bright and early tomorrow. We'll talk to you then. Peace.